In today's lesson, I will be teaching you how to create progressive walk cycles, transforming walk cycles into a walk forward by using simple math, adding and subtracting values from the COG into the left foot and the right foot controls, as well as character redirects. Maybe we have a character walking around in a corner, or we have a character running around in a corner. So let's get to it. To get started on our progressive walk cycle, we first have to measure the distance in which the character travels from our three contact poses, which is 0, 12, and 24. So I'm working with a standard 24 frame walk cycle. This is just a vanilla walk cycle that I made. Um, so to get started, we should select our route. Translate Z is 0. And here I like to work on my side view just to measure things out accurately. We can turn on our grid so we can track the heel of our foot and the tip, the toe of our foot. So in my case, my first contact pose is the left leg. That's where she starts walking. So I'm going to track the left leg, set a key on frame 0. And now I'll be using this line to track the second contact pose. So right now this is the right leg and I want to track the left leg right here. So I can move this exactly to that place, to that line on 0 from here to here. What you can do is you can middle mouse click while having the move tool selected. So you can just inch it out bit by bit. So it's around this line. I moved it too much. And right about there. I can see a little bit of sliding that's going to happen. So just let me take this 78 and I'm going to round that up to 79 just to make sure our values are clean, and I wouldn't really want to work with decimals for our walk progressive. So set a key on frame 12. So now you can see the foot is planted if you just block it like this. I'm using the comma and the period on the keyboard to do this. So now we have 0 and 79. Now all we can do, so we don't have to, inch it out, move it manually, we can just add the value from frame 12, which is 79. And we can double that up, 79 plus 79. And we can go frame 24, 79 plus 79, that gives us a value of 158. Set a key, 158 on 24. Now obviously I have a different walk with different values on my channel box, so it'll differ from what walk cycle you might have. So now we can pick block this 0, 12, 24. And I can see the foot is planted, if I'm pick blocking it. But when I slide the timeline, you obviously see some sliding. But that doesn't really matter because we're not really going to be animating with this root control, primarily because this root control is only used for placing characters in our scene, and we don't really animate our progressive walks with the root control. At least that's how I thought about it. So we have our first step done, calculating our distance. Let's move on to the next step. So now that we have our values added up and measured out from our root, we can now start animating our actual character. We can start animating her moving across the scene. So to get started with our second step, we can go to our root control and we can finally mute the translate Z value. Just mute the selected. You can see you get this color. That way you'll know that this control has been muted. So now if we remember, our character walks from 0 to 24 in 158. In 24 frames, she walks 158 on the translate Z. And so we have that measured out. You can select your COG. So frame 0, she's at 0 on the translate Z. Frame 24, we add in 158. Now you can go to your graph editor, you can go to your translate Z, and delete all the in-betweens. Make sure it's constant and it's linear. Now when you're working with our walk cycles or run cycles, there is no change, so everything is linear, it's constant. There's no ease in or ease out. It's going to be moving in that same direction. So now that we have our value 158 on the COG, we can do the same for our pull vectors. When I work with progressive runs or progressive walks, I like to start translating my values from the COG and working my way down to the pull vectors and to the leg and to the foot controls. So now we can go to our pull vectors, frame 24, same value with the COG, which is 158, put in 158, and do the same for the other pull vector. Now you can go to your graph editor, go to translate Z, and delete this in between. Make sure that's constant as well and it's linear. Just let me check this one as well. So translate Z, delete the in between, linear curve. So now you can see it's the same speed, it's constant. Now we start with the left foot. This is where we start translating our values from the root. So our key number was 158. Go to your calculator, 158, add that by the value of the left foot or right foot, depending on whatever you have. So 158, and you add that to the value of 36.082. 36.082 on the left leg. So 158 from the COG plus 36.082 to the left foot. So 36.082, get a value of 194.0282. So Control C, you can just select here, Control C from the calculator. Go to frame 24, put in the value, 194.0282. See? Now it's the same from here to here. The starting pose and the end pose in which our walk cycle loops. And we can do the same for the other leg. So select the foot control, minus 43 or negative 43. So we take that value from the COG again. Our COG is 158 minus 43. You get a value of 115 exact. So we can copy this, go to frame 24, translate Z, 115. There we go. Now we have our two poses. Now we just have to work with the other pose, which is on frame 12, because it's a 24 frame walk cycle, as you can remember. So now it completely matches up. Let's just go to my side view real quick. 0, 24. See? It matches. Now let's go back. Let's go to our frame 12. So frame 12, we go to 0. Now the foot is planted, remember, on this contact pose. So that means on the left leg, 0 to 12, the value is the same, 36.082. So we can just copy this, Control C, paste it here. See, the foot's planted now, right? Now let's do the other one, the right leg. So frame 24, it's 115. So from 115, frame 12 is 115. There we go. So now 0, 12, and 24. Everything is exact. There's no popping or anything, or sliding. But now we get this issue. If you scrub along your timeline, we have to clean up the in-betweens for the poses between our contact poses on 0, 12, and 24. So to get started, I'm going to start with my left foot again. Go to your graph editor, Windows, Animation, Editors, Graph Editor, Translate Z. So if you remember 0 and 12, feet are planted. You can delete the in-betweens. So now you get this nice, flat, straight line from 0 to 12. See? If you pay attention here, 0 to 12, the foot is planted. Now we can also delete the in-betweens for between 12 and 24, just because we don't need that for now. And we get this nice straight line, and then we go to an ease-in to our frame 24 on that contact pose. Now select the other foot. Select, see that? Graph Editor, Translate Z. So from 12 to 24, see, pay attention here, on the right leg, 12 to 24, feet are planted. So delete the in-betweens here. Now we get the opposite. This time the flat curve is here instead of down here from 0 to 12. You can also delete the in-betweens from 0 to 12 here. And now this time we get the ease-in, the ease, and the flat curve. If we select that on our left foot, we first get the straight curve and the ease. So here is what you should get as a final result. See, no sliding or anything. This is also a quick way to do your progressive walks. Just doing simple math, adding and subtracting the values from your COG and your foot controls. Now, after this, we can move on to our last step, which is to have this character walk infinitely in a cycle. But this time, not walk cycle, but a walk progressive cycle. So now that we have our final result on our progressive walk cycle, we can now try to make her walk infinite in a loop across our scene here. And to do that, we can go to our graph editor, start with the COG, Translate Z, go to curves, or actually we should go to our view, make sure infinity is on. Go to curves, pre-infinity, cycle with offset, curves post-infinity, cycle with offset. Do the same for the pole vectors. Translate z, curves pre-infinity, cycle with offset, post-infinity, cycle with offset. Same with the other one. Pre-infinity, cycle with offset, post-infinity, cycle with offset. I can do both the legs. Go translate z. Curves pre-infinity, cycle with offset, curves post-infinity, cycle with offset. Now you should get this. So what you can do next, increase your timeline. I'd say around 200. Select all the controls except the root. So you deselect the root. You can go to frame 24. That's where the cycle ends. Now we have every control selected. You can go to curves, pre-infinity, cycle with offset, curves post-infinity, cycle with offset. So now what you should get is an infinite loop for walk cycle. So this should be the final result that you get. So on the last part of this tutorial, I will be teaching you how to quickly set up character redirection. A character redirection is where you can redirect your character in whatever position you want her to move. So set up this scene where I kind of just have a cube, and what I plan to do is I will have this character walk straight and then turn into this corner here. And that's when we will use animation redirects. So to get started, select a root. Now this is a different approach to what I said before when we made our progressive walk cycle. I told you how we shouldn't animate with the root control, primarily because this control is only used for placement, a placement for your character in your scene, and we don't animate that as well. So we can start by selecting the root. You can go to key, redirect option box, and by default you should get rotation and translation only. And for this tutorial I'll be showing how to make her turn into a corner, so in our case I'll be using rotation only. So select rotation only. I'm just going to minimize that for now. So this is different from just a straight walk. We worked with our three key poses, the three contact poses on 0, 12, and 24. So for turn, it's different. You want to put your redirects in the passing pose because we want to be able to animate the tip of the toe by using the character redirects. So we can start by selecting the root, go to your key, and redirect. Now you will get this spherical shape of some sort, a nice round spherical shape. And what you have to do from here is go to your move tool, hold V, that'll allow you to snap onto the verts. As you can see here, when you're holding V, this icon should be highlighted. So you want to position that in the tip of your toe. Oops, Control Z. Just place it on the tip. Right about there. Just make sure that your translate Y is set to 0. Not that it's going to have any problems, but just to keep things organized and clean. So frame 0, hit S on frame 6 where the contact pose is, And right where the foot is about to lift off, I'd say around frame 12 because it's a 24 frame walk cycle, you can start inching out the rotation a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. So now you get this nice turn. So from there, we have our liftoff on the left leg. Now frame 18, where the foot roll is 0, because I still have values on the foot roll, which is negative 1.5 on frame 15. So I'm moving on to frame 18, where everything is zeroed out. So frame 18, go to key, redirect, just hit apply. Oh, oops, sorry. Select the root, key, redirect. Now go to your move tool, snap it to the tip of her toe. So set a key, frame 18. I'd say around frame 24. Go to rotate Y. Rotate this much. So see? Now you do the same. It's coming back to the left foot. Do the same process. Select your root. Go to key. Hit redirect. Move tool selected. W for the hotkey on the move tool. Hold V. Snap it to the tip of the toe. Rotate Y. So frame 30 is where the foot is planted on this one. Foot roll is 0. Hit S. Move it, let's say 36. Now select rotate Y. It can just middle mouse drag across the screen. Now you do the same process over and over again. And let me just do that real quick with a time lapse. I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm back. I was able to put in the redirects in the places I want them to be. So now we can just turn off the NURBS curves. You should get something like this. So this should be the result that you get when you play blast your animation. Thank you for stopping by and watching my two-part tutorial on progressive walks. Yeah, I compiled it all into just this one video. So have a nice day, and I will talk to you all later.